Hey, today I heard clarity comes from questions. Clarity comes from questions. A speaker, Terry Savelle Foy, I heard her say that today. I don't even know what else she was talking about, but that one line really stood out to me. Clarity comes from questions. And it made me think of I had a graduate advisor when I was at Baylor University, and he told me, I know one day I was sitting there so frustrated, and I'm like, I'm so confused. And he said, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that because once you're confused, learning can take place. Clarity comes from questions. Once we're confused, we ask questions. And once we ask questions, we can gain clarity. We have to go to the right source in order to gain the right instruction, don't we? So clarity comes from questions. And so I thought about my graduate advisor. And then I have always said, we only know what we know until we know different or until we know better. So when we know what we know, then that's what we do, is what we know, until we know different. And once we know different, then we can do different. We can learn, we can grow, we can get better, we can become better. And then, of course, I go on. Did I say that? We can't change or grow. We cannot change or grow until we begin to know something different because we only know what we know. And then, of course, I started thinking, I've been obsessed with Job. I don't know that obsession will ever grow old for me. Job in the Old Testament. And he's right before the Psalms. That's kind of crazy because, anyway. So Job asked God all kinds of questions all the time. And freely, openly, freely, with his sadness, with his anger, with his confusion, with his whatever it was, he could pour out these questions to God. And I have all kinds of notes that I'm not going to read through them all. Maybe I'll make a longer video or something. But Job, he asked God, why? Why do you pay so much attention to humankind? So Job was asking God why. He asked what? Like, what are the charges against me? He demanded answers. He complained about things. He complained about, terrible, terrible things were happening in Job's life. He complained about these things to God. He made his desires known. He desired to understand God's reasoning for his suffering. And that really was, God really in all of that wanted Job to know him better, to become closer, to become more intimate with God, and to realize that Job might not always get the answers, but he was always going to get a response. That's what I wanted to say, response. He may not get the answer he was looking for, but he would always, eventually, get a response from God. And who else? Then I thought, of course, Peter from the New Testament, one of the disciples. We all know Peter was always asking all the questions all the time. He asked Jesus to explain the parables that he was telling. He asked about forgiveness. Like, how many times should I forgive these people? How many times should I forgive my brothers and sisters? What? He asked, what? What is our reward for leaving everything and following you, Christ? So, he was asking, like, what's my reward? For I left everything to follow you. He asked where. At the Last Supper, Peter asked, where are you going? Where are you going, Lord? Peter was always, always, always asking all the questions. And then I thought about David. And David, of course, he was asking God everything constantly. He even, was it 1 Samuel? I didn't write any of those down. 1 Samuel, he was asking him, God even about his war strategies, his battle strategies. He asked God about everything. And then, of course, all of the Psalms that David wrote in the Old Testament right after Job. And he'd say, Psalms is full of the why and the how long and the who am I and cries of lament and desperation for God to answer him, asking for understanding and intimacy and a closer relationship and expressing his awe and reverence for God. And then one of my favorites, Hagar. We got to get the ladies in there. Hagar, and skipped kind of toward the end of the story. So when Hagar in the book of Genesis, first book of the Bible, chapter 16, she one of my favorite stories, when she was running away, when she was fleeing. It wasn't Sarah yet, her name was Sarai, and she was fleeing from Sarai because she had treated her so cruelly. She was so mean and so awful. And so finally Hagar was running away. And while Hagar was running away, God asks her questions first for a reason. But first, God asks her, where have you come from? And where are you going? Where are you coming from and where are you going? Well, we know God already knows where she was coming from, and God already knows in her mind where she's running to, what she's running from, where she's running to. But God is so good. He loves her so much that he asked her questions in order that she could start speaking. And it gave her the safety and the freedom to open the conversation with God so she could ask all the questions that she had. And so it opened up the communication for Hagar to pour out her heart and her questions. And it ended up with Hagar giving God the name El Roi, the God who sees me, the God who sees me, even when I'm running from something, when I don't know what I'm running to, when I've been treated terribly, when I'm just stuck in this place and I don't know what to do. God sees me. God sees you. So asking all the questions, and all these different people that we see asking God all the questions, uncomfortable questions, questions from anger and frustration, questions from desperation and sadness and confusion, all the questions. So we always end up knowing God better when we're asking all the questions. It leads us to clarity. We may not always get the answer that we want, and we probably won't get the answer right away, but we will get a response. Every one of these people got a response from God, and they knew God better, and they could hear from God and understand God better. And all the questions help to give us clarity. Clarity comes from questions. So are you asking questions? Are you asking lots of questions? Where are you going and searching and seeking your answers from? Where are you going, and where are you seeking your answers from? And are you asking all the questions? They don't have to be the right questions. Are you asking all the questions? Who are you asking the questions? Because once we spend the time with God and we ask the questions, we will become closer to Him. We will gain the ability to hear from Him better, more quickly, more better, and it will lead us to wisdom and discernment when we are making all kinds of decisions, whether we're going into battle, whether we have all kinds of horrible things going on in our life, whether we're running from something, whatever it is. Ask God, go to the source and ask the questions, and we'll come out. If nothing else, we definitely will come out with a more intimate relationship with God and with more wisdom and discernment to make our decisions, and even in asking our questions in the future. So my challenge to you is, are you asking the questions? Are you asking lots and lots of questions? And where are you seeking the answers from? Amen, sister. Have a great day. Oh, I can't reach.